Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Always Arsenal show. It's back, and I've got a very, very, very special guest. I'm really excited to welcome to the show Mr. Terry Stone. Hello. What's it like being on an Arsenal show?
Do you know something? I've never been on an Arsenal show, so I'll let you know afterwards.
So I'm popping your cherry on an Arsenal show. This is so exciting.
You are. I've never. I have actually been to Arsenal once, but I'm more of a boxing fan, so I'm sort of intrigued how you're gonna, convert me into becoming an Arsenal fan.
I am. But you see, the funny thing is, right, if I don't call you Tony or Terry, I'm gonna So last night, I tried to watch your film, Terry, The Origins of the Footsoldier.
What?
I got 45 minutes in and I couldn't take the violence.
Really?
I couldn't. No, I don't like violence at all. That's why I don't like boxing. But there's going to be
That must be the gooner. That must be the gooner in you, I reckon.
The thing is, Terry, right? I'm a little bit of a wuss. I don't like horror films. I don't like violence. So it was just so
violent.
It is violent. We're going to go into it in a minute. So first of all, so many people.
Do you not get out much?
No, I don't. I work and go to Arsenal. That's it. Right, okay. So many people want to know how I know you. So this is a funny story. Okay. Right. So we have a mutual friend called Chris. Okay. Yeah. Now, Chris has been in my life.
An Arsenal fan.
He's not an Arsenal fan. No. And everyone knows who Chris is because when I talk about going to the Etihad with my Manc friends, this is Chris. Okay.
And
Chrissy, my little Chrissy. I've known Chris 20 years, nothing to do with social media completely. So, he's one of my close friends. But I went to the Etihad for the first time in his box when he had a box there. And for some reason, Terry, we actually won. We never used to win at the top four. Okay, I'm just going to give you a little bit of an education about Arsenal. We never usually win. We won, but Chris wasn't with me, but I was with his family, who were all cocky. It was great. Yeah. Anyway, moving on. The last couple of times I've been to the Etihad, I've been with Chris, spent the time with him and his son and his family, and it's been fantastic. So how I know you. So one year, Chris said to me, do you want to come to Wembley? Because Arsenal played in the Charity Shield. I went, no, I don't do Charity Shields. He said, come on, I've got a box at Wembley. And I'm like, yeah, I'll come. I've never been to a box at Wembley. Been to Wembley so many times. I've just never been in a box. So I came, and there I met you.
Yeah. So you never know you're going to meet in these places, you see.
Honestly, I was on my own, wasn't I? And I said to you, come on, let's go and watch the game outside. We went outside. I think you was with your son, weren't you?
Think so, yeah. I think so. It's a long time ago. What was it, 4 years ago, 5 years ago?
I think it's longer, Terry. I think I've known you since about 2014.
You don't look any different. You haven't aged at all.
I love you. Checks in the post. So I remember sitting with you going, so who do you support? You went, I don't really support anyone. I went, no, that doesn't really exist in my world. You have to support someone.
Who wins. I was the only person there who didn't care who won.
But your little mate and a few other people have told me you're sort of a Chelsea fan.
I don't know, really. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm a Chelsea fan. I mean, I've been to Chelsea probably more times than anything, and that's because a friend of mine is the owner of the Chelsea Pitch Owners Association, and he normally asks me whenever we do. He does his charity things to raise money for different charities. Whether it's for disabled children or anybody that needs any help. And he always says, "Oh, can you throw in a walk on partner movie or some premiere tickets?" So we always donate stuff to help the charity. So I've been invited, obviously, to Chelsea quite a bit. I know John Terry quite well, Jodie Morris quite well, Terry Byrne quite well. I know a few of these guys, and they're all Chelsea. But I know a lot of people at West Ham. I know a lot of people at Man City, and I'd say if I had a club, it would be clubs with an S, and it would be Man City, West Ham, and Chelsea. But that's so I'm like a hybrid fan. I don't really follow any of them.
Yeah.
But if I get invited, I will go. But I'm not. I think because when I was a kid, my old man wasn't into sports. He didn't take me to the football. Didn't watch football. And at school, I used to just kick people in the shins, and they used to basically tell me to go away, and nobody wanted to play football with me. So I think I never really got into it, and I got into boxing at a young age. And I think in sports, if you get into golf or football or boxing or rowing or swimming.
Has Terry frozen or have I frozen? Oh, Terry, can you hear me? You've gone mute, Terry.
Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you now. You have froze for a little bit. So let's just go back to those days, Terry, yeah? It's like This Is Your Life. Do you remember that?
Hang on.
I think Terry has left me. Right, I'll bring Terry back in a moment. So welcome, everyone, because I can see you all in the chat room. He'll be back in a sec. Here he comes. You keep disappearing. Right, that's it. Stay there. Perfect. No, he's gone again. This reminds me of the day my dad came on. Because I think on the phone, you're right, Tracy, actually. Has got an S in it. He could support us, couldn't he? Thank you, everyone, for being in the chat room. And we're going to wait for Terry to come back. But in the meantime, I hope everyone's well. Right,
I don't know what happened. It just cut out.
So what I was saying, Terry, this is going to be like This Is Your Life, okay?
Okay. Have you got the red book or not?
Stage by stage, everything in my life is red. Okay. Everything. Right, so born in South London. You're a South London boy.
I am, yeah.
Couple of years younger than me, 1971. I'm 69.
Wow.
Right, so growing up in South London, wasn't it mainly all football, or was it boxing as well growing up? Because I don't remember boxing growing up, to be honest.
I'm just trying to think. I wasn't really into sport. So I didn't. I didn't really follow any sport. I just sort of grew up. And I think the reason I found boxing was because I was obviously getting sort of bullied and picked on, and that's why I found boxing. And I kind of got into that really and become a fan as well as a fighter. And I think that was, really, I mean, everyone was into different things, rugby or boxing or football. I wouldn't say any of my friends were into golf. None of my mates were interested in being in a class, So I'd say, yeah, I mean, it was just, I think when you grow up on a council estate anywhere, it's, you either get into trouble or you fall into some sort of sport,
Yeah, no, I understand that. So growing up, so you was only a couple of years, so you were in the 80s with me. So music in the 80s was very 80-ish. But I've heard a little rumour that you started off in nightclubs, giving out flyers and stuff.
I was a rave promoter. I was Garage Nation, One Nation. Yeah, that was.
So this is. Can we just back up a second? How did you? Are you flicking away your notifications?
Honestly, it's just driving me mad. I'm going to smash my phone in a minute.
We can't see them, so don't worry.
So I'm not doing that to the people watching.
I wonder what you were doing. So the owner of this channel wanted to be on tonight, but he couldn't make it. He's so obsessed with your rave promotions that he followed you all over the place raving. My boss told me tonight as well that he went to all your raves and actually spoke to you a couple of times. And I'm like, okay, tell me all about this, because I used to rave in the 80s and I don't remember Rave Nation, One Nation and Garage Nation. How did it all start?
You obviously didn't get out much then.
I did. I used to club in Camden Palace in London. And
I mean, you was probably more like housey, ravey. Yeah. I was more urban. So the drum and bass was One Nation, and that went into jungle, and then UK Garage was Garage Nation. But I mean, we were the biggest in the world. I mean, we was doing 30 events a month. We was going around. We was doing America. We was doing Ibiza, Napa, everywhere, islands, Europe. But that was good crack. I mean, I sort of fell into it, and it took me probably about three or 4 years to actually get to the point where I went from a raver to a sort of businessman in that space, and then I ended up doing my first rave, which was One Nation, and then
and where was that, Terry?
That was at the Roller Express in Edmonton.
Right, it's not far from me, which is weird. I didn't even know about it. And what about Garage Nation then?
Yeah, and the first one of that was at Stratford Rex in Stratford. That was in, and I'm doing this from memory. It was either September or October '97. So, yeah, and then I sold out of them 2003, and didn't know what I was going to do, and then somebody offered me a part in a movie, and that's how I got into the film business.
Okay, so I was going to ask you this. So did you always want to be an actor, or did it just fall? Okay, you've got to tell us the story of how you fell into being an actor. What was your first?
Somebody had to run me up. I'd never have got involved in it. I mean, I've obviously grown up watching films. I love films and TV and, soaps and all that. I mean, that's what I grew up on. And, I think, I think when you look at all the different things that I've sort of done, none of them really. I didn't wake up one day and go, I want to be a club promoter when I'm older, or I want to be an actor, or I want to be a film producer. I've never, sort of had a dream. I've written down a list of things that I wanted to achieve, but I never actually said, when I grow up, I want to be an actor, or when I grow up, I want to be a club promoter, But I just sort of fell into them. And my whole life has been a series of accidents and opportunities. And I think sometimes when there's an accident or opportunity, you can either walk past it, or you can go, I'll have a go at this to see what happens. And I've always been a trier. And there's an old saying, God loves a trier. So I think, I've always been up for having a go at something, and I've always wanted to try new things, learn new things. And I think I might actually have ADHD, because when I grew up, I'd never sit still, and I'd always be on the go, and I'd always want to do stuff. And I think I was like that with the Raves. And I think the busier it got and the bigger it got, the more exciting it got. And when I come out of that, I really didn't know what I was going to do. And somebody just rang me up out of the blue and said, I'm making a film. Do you want to be in it?
When you say someone, was it someone in the rave scene, or was it a mate of mine?
Just a mate of mine who was doing a film. It was just like you saying, do you want to come on the podcast show? And I go, yeah, all right. I'm not an Arsenal fan, but I'll come on and see if you can convert me. So
we're going to try later.
So it was the same thing. The guy just said, do you want to come out? Do you want to be in a film? And I turned up, and I was like, what's all this about? And there was a couple of good actors on set, people that, a couple of them had just come off Snatch, which had obviously been a massive success in, I think it was 2000. And then there was another film, TV show. There was things like Actors from the Bill, EastEnders, Coronation Street. And obviously back then, these things were like massive shows, with 20 million viewers. So if you was in one of them shows, you was like, a big star. So I was sort of working with these people, and I was sort of pinching myself, thinking, wow, how did I get here, working with them? And I said to one of them, how long have you been acting, blah, blah, blah. And they said, I've been doing this and I've been doing that. And I said, how do I become an actor? I said, well, you've just been in a movie, right? So I said, oh, right. So what do I do next then? They said, well, get some pictures, get the scenes for the film, and write some agents, get an agent, and you're away. And I just thought, well, this is easy. I'll be an actor. I'll be in Hollywood next week. And and obviously I realised pretty quickly after that process that wasn't going to happen instantly. But I think, I think if I'd have known what the odds are, I think a friend of mine said something like 95% of all actors are unemployed. Yeah. And obviously, if you know going into something, that those are the stats, you sort of think, well, there's a 95% chance that I'm going to be skint most of the time. And it don't matter how good you are. All the actors, whether you're Orlando Bloom or Stephen Graham or whoever, they've all started off scratching around, getting a job, not working for a month, get another job, do a bit of theatre, scratch around for a month, drive a cab. None of them really have regular income. And the only jobs that they can do to support themselves are jobs which are sort of like gig jobs. So they could drive a cab, they could clean a house, they could work in a bar, because obviously they can just jump in and jump out of it. Because their business it's really unorganized. So, somebody will say, oh, I'm making a film, or I'm doing a TV show, we'll get Terry in, right? And then I'll get a phone call at 4:30 on, Thursday nights, and I'll Terry, can you be in London at 11 o'clock in the morning and do this audition? Here's a script to learn. So then you have to drop everything, learn the script, go into London or wherever the audition is, have the audition, and then that's it. And you might get it, you might not. But that's basically how it works. So you've got whatever job you do, you have to be able to, you can't really be tied to anything. So, you know, a lot of actors really are skinting hard up because, you know, when they're not working, it really is famine. And I think the only way they can, you know, get into, to survive is to do any job which allows them to dip in and out. So
you weren't even trained or anything?
No, but
just
then I decided, you know, I wanted to, I realised that I couldn't cheat for it. So I went. I think initially you think, oh, anyone could do it. Everybody can do this. Everyone can do that. I just think, I just think, you know, I made that decision. Go and learn how to act. Read the books. Go and have some classes. I joined the drama school, and then obviously doing the work is paramount. You know, you can read 300 books. You can have an acting coach. You can go to drama school, but you need to actually do the work, and that's kind of what I was focusing on: doing the work, getting the work, and then obviously creating work, because I obviously started producing films as well. So you know, and I did that not because I wanted a B plan. It was just because I love the industry so much. I just thought, if I'm creating stuff or I'm making stuff, when I'm not acting, I'm always doing something creative. I'm not sort of just sat indoors looking at the phone hoping it's going to ring, you know?
No, I totally understand. And obviously the one film that I came to the premiere of was someone who's just going to join us now as a little surprise guest.
Oi, oi!
Oi, oi! Oh, hold on, let me put you both on.
I thought you said it was only Arsenal fans allowed on here.
Well, I've allowed him on because he is my good friend. Welcome to the show, Mr. Howard.
Hello, Amanda. How are you?
I'm good. So everyone in the chat room, this is Chris. This is the one who I go to the Etihad with. And every time I've been with him, we've been slaughtered. When I wasn't with him and I was with your family, Chris, in the box, we beat you. So welcome to the show. This is weird.
Well, hello, Terry. You've been very difficult to get hold of this week. Terry's like my brother from another mother, really.
I know. Do you know what? I actually looked at a picture of Terry today and I thought you look a bit similar. So I just want now.
Only our mothers can tell us apart.
Look, you've already got a hi, Chris, from Tracy in Australia, one of our gooners. Chris. So I'm going to tell you my story, Terry, of how I found out that Chris was producing a film with you. I honestly, Terry. So for anyone that doesn't know, Chris is a lawyer. Okay, commercial lawyer, aren't you, Chris?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, you've been in my life 20 years, Chris, haven't you?
We have, yeah. We're good
Never
friends.
mentioned ever, Terry, ever about writing a film. So me and Chris normally message about 4 times a year when Arsenal play City and a few other times. Right. So I messaged him and I said, are you coming to the Emirates? And he went, bit hard, I'm in Miami. I said, oh, another holiday? He went, no, I'm working in Miami. I said, okay. He goes, I'm producing a film. Now, this was late at night, Terry, right? And I went, what do you mean? And at that time, I was like, looking at my phone going, is he drunk in Manchester or something? What do you mean producing a film? So then he proceeds to tell me. And I literally sat up, Googled it. Oh, he sent me some pictures from the beach and stuff like that. And he produces the film with you called Plastic.
Yeah.
I then come to the premiere. I actually didn't meet you there, Terry, but I went to the after show.
You liked the red carpet though, didn't you?
I enjoyed it. I've never everything red. Everything red. In Chris's life, everything is blue, but everything's red in my life. And I really had a good time with Helen and Chris and, you know, our other friends, and never been to a premiere in my life. I probably would never go to another one.
Oh, you never know. You never know, do you?
You never know. Yeah. You never know.
We've done 5 films now. Is it
this
more than that? 5
Chris,
or 6?
How do you even know each other?
Well, we met on this dating app.
Terry, stop. Terry,
remember we're live.
We didn't really meet on a dating app. It was a joke. But no, we just met for a mutual friend, and the mutual friend basically said to me, I've got a friend of mine who's a lawyer who has got a really good idea for a movie based on some people that he knew when he grew up. And I said, what's it about? And he told me, and I did a bit of research, and I thought, this is interesting. But we have got some funny plastic stories to share with you. And I think the first one would be when we met, we had this lunch we decided we was going to, you know, develop the script a bit more and get a director and, you know, move it forward a bit. And, you know, as we were doing this, you know, we got to the point where we sort of thought, right, we can actually go and raise the money now and get some actors on board. So before we did that, Chris said, you know, being obviously the competent lawyer that he is, he said, you know, really, we should get these guys tied up. And I said, what, you want me to tie them up? He went, no, not like that.
These are the guys who did this heist. These are the original guys who did the heist.
But
okay.
But yeah, so Chris sort of reached out to him and said, look, we want to make this film. We want you involved as an advisor, whatever. You know, can we do a deal? And the guy's like, yeah, you know, I'll do a deal with you, Chrissy, blah, blah, blah. And then Chris sort of said, but, you know, you need to come down to London and meet Terry. And he's like, well, who's this Terry bloke, you know? And obviously he was a bit sensitive because obviously, you know, when you've been arrested and you've gone to prison and, you know, they haven't recovered the diamonds and everything that was stolen, then he's obviously still a bit wary that he could sometimes get a little pat on the shoulder. So he was very sort of cautious about meeting me. And he said, okay, I'll come down and meet him, but there's a few things that are off limits. And he was like, what's that? And he said, well, you can't ask me about the diamonds. You can't ask me about the girl. You can't ask me. You know, it was like 3 things that we just couldn't ask. So Chris comes down to London. Chris already in London.
So
but
I meet him at Euston, Amanda. Right? I'll take it over for me, right? And the guy's saying there's 3 things we can't talk about. This was from a very large credit card company where they got an insider. He said, you can't ask me about the inside of the girl. You can't ask me, you know, what I did with the diamonds, and you can't ask me about the money. Because they basically use credit cards to do a massive heist. That's what plastic is about,
film.
right?
Yeah.
So,
I remember the film.
So I meet this guy at Euston. He's got off the train from Manchester. He's properly dodgy bloke, isn't he, Terry? I mean, I've sort of known him from my formative life in Manchester. And I ring Terry and I text Terry and I said, Terry, there's 3 things you can't talk to this guy about, right? It's about the diamonds, the girl, and the money.
I can imagine.
And Terry said, oh, all right, son. Yeah, I get it. So so we've got offices. The film company's got an office here, and we go to the boardroom, and it's like a table in there, and this guy's very, very edgy. And he said, remember the 3 things, Chris? Remember the 3 things? I said, yeah, it's sweet. So there's like a little ante-room to the boardroom, and Terry is in the ante-room, and to surprise this bloke, he jumps out of the ante-room and he says, all right there, son, how are ya? He said, believe you've been acting now, Gad. He says, well, Terry, it was a long time ago. He said, well, there's only 3 things I want to talk to you about. He said, it was the girl. He said, what do you do with the money, and where's the fucking diamonds? And I'm sorry, Amanda, I can't
Chris, you know, I have to swear.
But at that point, the guy like freaks out, doesn't he, Terry? But that's like Terry's sense of humour. That's why Terry's, you know, good at what he does, because he's very, very sort of down to earth and just understands humour and how humour sort of permeates filmmaking. And a lot of Terry's films, as you'll see from what he's done, you know, the various films on Rise of the Footsoldier, there are always moments where you want to, you know, you just die laughing. And Terry does put humour into all of his films, and I think that's what makes him such a good filmmaker.
Well, as I was telling Terry before, I tried to watch Footsoldier of the Origins, or Origins of the Footsoldier. Sorry if I get it wrong.
No, it's called Rise of the Footsoldier Origins.
There we go, that one. Because all the boys at work were talking, and I said, look, I've got Terry coming and I've got to watch this film. And I said, watch the Origins. So I watched the Origins. Chris, I lasted 45 minutes. I don't like violence, right? But
it's because she's a goon, I reckon, Chris. That's what it is.
She didn't mind like Martin Keown and Tony Adams putting a mark on people. I mean, that was a bit violent, wasn't it, Terry?
That's different. But you see, the thing is, though, it's my era, and I went to Hollywood's in Romford, Terry, because I lived.
Did you really?
Yes,
well,
I did.
You know all the stories then.
Well. No, no, I didn't really know the stories. I think I'm just quite naive. When I was growing up in the 80s, I was clubbing in Romford, Southend, and London. So how I didn't, I mean, obviously I've heard of lots of going-ons, but I just not missed it all. But I used to love clubbing. It was my thing. So, but no, I couldn't last with a film, Chris. It was too violent for me. I actually kept going like that. I don't like violence.
Naughty words. There's lots of naughty words.
Oh no, naughty words I'm fine with. I just can't use them here. I'm not allowed to. But okay, so we're just going to talk about Chris just told me last night that you've got quite a few films going together, or you've done quite a few films.
Yeah, we've got loads of stuff.
Terry's got loads of stuff. Terry's like, obviously, probably one of the most prolific filmmakers in the UK, I'd say, as a producer. There's not many people made as many films as Terry, and I think you've got loads of stuff in the pipeline. We talk about it. We've got. But there's probably three projects I'm working with Terry on at the minute. One of them's
invite to be an extra.
You never said you wanted to be in a movie, did you?
I said to you, the next football movie you do, Terry, I'm coming on. You could make it about Arsenal.
Terry said to me, he said, "Well, Chris, do you want to be in one of the films?" And I said, "I've got a face for radio, face for radio."
I've got a face for both, right? So if you're producing these films, do I get to come to another premiere then?
Yeah, I'm sure.
I feel we can do. Yeah, we can do that. Yeah.
What do you mean? Yeah, we could. Thanks, Terry. He's supposed to be my mate.
We're up for that. Then we look after you.
I know.
Just because you don't support the same team as Chris, but yeah, we don't mind.
Oh, we're going to get onto Chris's team in a moment. But we'll talk about that because we'll have a little bit banter. Then we're going to say goodbye to Chris.
Right.
Yeah, I'm very happy to leave whenever you want me to leave.
But we've got a couple of films that we're finishing off now. One's about the UK garage scene called United Nation, 25 years of UKG, and that's all the sort of So Solid crew, Heartless crew, Miss Dynamite, all the Luck and Neat, all those characters that were like pioneers of the UK garage scene.
Yeah,
that's being finished off now. We did this really cool film called The Last Heist, which is like a British Reservoir Dogs with a twist of the afterlife in it, and that is nuts. But it's really cool, and that's been finished. We're actually doing a Rise of the Footsoldier computer game. That's being finished, and then we've just launched a cryptocurrency called Filmcoin.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that in a moment, actually, because
that's been minted today, and then it's going to actually list on multiple exchanges to be traded in April. And nobody's ever done there are film cryptocurrencies around, but nobody's done what we're doing. So we just thought we'd do something different. And what's excelled, it's really COVID. I think the way the movie business is going, it's digital. And I just think people are not as interested in, consuming the content that they used to. People aren't really going to cinemas much. People aren't buying DVDs anymore. It's all digital. So I think as life goes on, I think crypto, NFTs, blockchain, digital, that's going to just be
it's the way to go. A lot of
people talk about the metaverse. Everyone's talking about this metaverse now. Everyone's going, I don't get it. And I just say to anybody who says they don't get it, if you've got kids that play computer games and they play Fortnite or they play Call of Duty or they play any of these games, Roblox is a great example, yeah? All you're doing is buying stuff that's not real, and you're driving around in a car where you've got a hat on or a skin or a special gun. And obviously everyone else sees you, your mates, and go, oh, wow, he's got a special gun. And then it's like, Mum, Dad, can I have the specialer gun? It's £10. And the mum and dads are like, you want to spend £10 on a pretend gun? This doesn't even exist. It's just stupid. But that's unfortunately what our kids are getting into. We're probably going to be still scratching our heads when we're in our 70s, but all the kids will be getting it. But that's essentially what it is. So as a sort of early adopter, I just thought all the films that we're making, we can, release, distribute and finance via this mechanism. So it doesn't actually make any difference to what we're doing. It just means that we're not worrying about whether people are going to go bust, whether people aren't going to account to us properly, whether, there's so many moving parts. You make a film, you've got to wait a couple of years before you start getting the money back. There's no guarantee you are going to get the money back, but at least if it's all done on the blockchain, as soon as there's something created and you see the transaction, everyone can see what the transaction is and everyone gets paid instantly. So for me, it speeds up our business. So that's exciting. But film-wise, Chris and I have been working for the last 5 years on a film about the Shah of Iran called Requiem for a King. and we've got an Oscar-winning director and writer on board. That's probably the film I'm the most excited about with you, Chris. What do you reckon?
Yeah, before I depart, Terry, I'd just say that is a political thriller that I think is probably where we hope to take the films that we do into sort of more serious sort of geopolitical films that have got an historic sort of resonance. That's kind of where I think we want to go, and that's what I think we're working towards. Amanda, I believe I'm going to be chucked off.
Not
shortly.
Yet. You're not going off yet.
Okay.
Carl's taking the mickey. You know what he's like. No, I want to ask you a question. How do I not know about these films, Chris? Again, you have not even told me. I spent a weekend with you in Manchester in August.
Yeah, we just talked about Arsenal. I couldn't get a word in. All we were talking about was football.
Listen, at the Etihad, we were fantastic for 6.5 minutes. You know that. Even you were surprised.
You were very good in the return match as well. I thought Arsenal was superb in the New Year's Day game.
We were. If it wasn't for the referee.
The referee was not great, I've got to say, and City got away with one. But I would say that Arsenal showed potential there of what they can be, and I've kind of got a bit of a soft spot for Arsenal. I did tell you that I played for Arsenal as a kid. You do know that, don't you?
No.
Yeah.
This is what you do to me. This is what he does, Terry. Live on air, he tells me he plays for Arsenal as a kid.
No, I did. I did. I played from there. I was 15 to 16 before I played at Oldham. I wasn't good enough to play at Arsenal, so.
You went to Oldham.
Is that why you never supported them, Chris? You felt like they did.
No, I've got a bit of a soft spot for them. Right. And particularly that Arsene Wenger team, I used to just love that team and the way they played football. They were just, that's probably apart from City when they won the quadruple, that Arsenal team that Wenger had with, Thierry Henry, they got applauded off the pitch at City. They were that good, and City don't normally do that, but I think everybody looked at that Arsenal team of that era and just thought, wow, they got a standing ovation at half time. I think you were 4-0 up. Perez, Thierry Henry.
I don't remember because you know what I'm like. I don't remember any games. But
Dennis Bergkamp. Dennis Bergkamp is still,
God.
I think the best player that's ever played in the Premier League, even better than David Silva. So I have got a bit of soft spot for Arsenal. I like the way Wenger used to play. But that's my experience of Arsenal, Amanda.
But Chris, moving on, we've got your ex-coach, haven't we?
Yeah, Arteta's pretty good. We're sort of warming him up at Arsenal before he takes the more serious job at City. So I think that's kind of where he's destined to come back to.
Christopher. He's going to be with us for years, hopefully. And hopefully he's literally turning around each fan that didn't want him there. From day one I have, and I've supported him. But he's turning around. And also, especially if we get into fourth place. So just going on, I want to ask you 2 questions, Chris. Sorry, Terry, while we chat football.
That's right, I'm listening. I'm listening.
2 questions, Chris. First of all, why can you never beat Spurs at bloody the Etihad? And do you think you're going to win the league this year?
Spurs have got the Indian sign on us. They are just so difficult for us to play against because they play so much on the break. That's how you beat City, I think. You play City on the break. Arsenal did it in patches on New Year's Day. That's the best way to play City, is to play offensively against us, because we're not great when we get our back 4 turned and you get through the channel. So that's the right way to play, and Spurs do very well with Son. Son is a nightmare for City. We don't know how to handle him. And then will we win the league? It's all about that Liverpool game. If we beat Liverpool, I do think that we will win it.
Terry's printing something out.
It's so bad.
When are you playing Liverpool?
It's on the 10th or the 11th of April, I think.
Right, okay. And is it at Anfield or not?
At the Etihad.
Yeah. Okay, so you think
that's the big game. That's the game that decides the league, because that's a 6-pointer. City are still 3 points ahead. If we win that game, I think we're in great shape. Okay.
So we've got 3 games in hand on, obviously we're trying to get into the top 4, and we feel that the Tottenham game will be the 6-pointer as such, like with you. I'm
assuming, of course, when I said all of that, Amanda, that you won't beat Liverpool, because apart from in 1989, you rarely beat Liverpool.
Which I was at. We've got Liverpool next week. We've got Liverpool. Sorry, not next week. Yeah, we have. Yeah, we play less. I know. Well, we will need to do it for us. We've got Liverpool next Thursday night. week tonight. So, do you think you're going to do it?
I think we'll come unstuck. We've got a tough game away at Wolves, which I think is as important as the Liverpool game. We've also got West Ham away, which I don't think will be easy either. West Ham are pretty good this year. So we've got 2 difficult away games and we've got Liverpool. If we could do very well in those games, I think we'll be all right. We've got Palace away on Monday, which isn't easy, as you know. So Monday night under the lights, big atmosphere down at Selhurst Park. That's not easy either. So I think we've got some tough games. United will do nothing at Liverpool, by the way, because they're just so poor. They're just so poor, right? I mean, they're like a pub team, and it was embarrassing actually for United at weekend. I mean, 92% possession for City over a 15-minute period. I mean, you don't see that. I mean, Peterborough had more possession than United in any 15-minute period the other week. Peterborough are probably a better football team than Man United at the minute.
But Man United are in, I mean, look, we obviously all the news has broken today about Chelsea, which I'll get onto later, but it's just madness at the moment. So you could do us a favour by beating West Ham, and we'd do you a favour by beating Liverpool, okay? Yeah,
well, we did a favour for you on Sunday. We didn't really beat anybody. That's the point, really, isn't it? But we did beat United for you.
You did. Right. Love you. Thank you so much for coming on, young Christopher.
I'll give you a call, Chris, when we finish, because I've been meaning to call you a week.
Yeah, don't worry.
He's been contacting me. Christopher, thank you so much.
It's the only way I can get hold of Terry at the moment through an Arsenal podcast.
Right.
All right. Take care, everybody.
Amanda,
great to see you. See you soon. Bye,
Definitely.
darling. Take
Bye,
care.
darling.
Nice to see you, Chris. To see you. Nice.
Nice to see you, Christopher. I wanted to bring him on to surprise you a little bit and also to talk to him about.
I love him.
He is one of my closest friends. I love him to pieces. And
he's probably, out of all the people I know, like he's probably one of the funniest. And obviously, when you sort of know what he does for a job,
I know
he's not. You know, if you meet most lawyers, they're very sort of, sort of very square and very boring and very sort of, serious and all that. But he does that. But he's also a real laugh and he's got a great charisma and he's like a geek on football. And there's things that he just absolutely loves. And he's one of those people that if he has an interest in something. If he went on Mastermind, he'd get 100%.
Yeah, I think so. I think I've known him so long in the family and everything that when I go to Manchester, I really can't go to the Etihad and not be with him and sit with him and his mates, who I adore his mates. You know, known him for years now, and we just have such a great time. But he's a Northerner living in the South, and it's such a different. You know what Northerners are like? They're so friendly. I can't tell you what it's like when I go up north. Especially Liverpool and Manchester. But I just want to get on to a couple of things. So when the raving stuff ended, was that when the films really kicked in, the acting?
No. I mean, it was, I sold the club business in March 2003. March 2003 was when I come out of it. And then I sort of went into this sort of weird, not really sure what I'm going to do. Have a go at this, see what happens. I mean, I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know whether I was going to, become. And I've been doing it for 19 years now. So when you look at a career of that long, you just go, "Wow, 19 years." It's sort of like, I look back and I just think, really, Footsoldier Origins, which is obviously the new one. I'd say that's probably out of all the films that I've been in as an actor and produced and been involved in heavily, that's probably the best for a performance as an actor. I'd say that's probably the best performance I've done in the film. And I think looking at that, it's like, wow. But it took me 19 years to get to that lead role. Obviously Vinnie Jones was in it, Keith Allen was in it, so there was some.
What's I want to ask you who's the funniest? I imagine Vinnie Jones is quite funny.
Yeah, I mean, obviously he probably wasn't as funny as he normally is because obviously he lost his wife and he had a lot of trauma going on in his life, and this was his sort of first film he made since losing his wife. So I've met Vinnie a couple of times just briefly. but I didn't really get to know him. I mean, I got to know him, relatively well on Footsoldier, and I thought he was a lovely man, and we did have a laugh. But again, I don't know, what he was like before. So I don't know whether he was funnier before, if he was the same.
Lost his wife, didn't he?
But yeah, I mean, you sort of 1 week you see him on Piers Morgan, like opening up his heart and crying his eyes out, and then the next week he's on a film set, we're sort of smashing people up and throwing people through windows and having a laugh, But it was crazy, it was mad. But I mean, as I said, he was a lovely man, and I had a good laugh with him. Very, very good to work with him as an actor. And again, I think it's one of them things. If you look at him, some people don't like him as an actor, some people do. But if you actually look at him, he's probably the only footballer that went into Hollywood, and he's done something like 100 movies. He's been in like superhero movies. He's been in films with Nicolas Cage. He's been in films with Brad Pitt. I mean, if you look at his CV, he's probably an amazing CV.
He's probably a better actor than he was a footballer, to be fair.
I never watched him as footballer. I think the only thing I remember is when he grabbed Gaz's nuts. That was the only thing I remember about it. But I like
him in the films. I think he suits the character. I think he is, But who's the funniest on set? I mean, you've got Craig Fairbrass. You've got loads of different characters, haven't you?
Yeah, I'd have to say it's me, because most actors aren't particularly funny, and they're all very serious, and obviously I'm not. So I'd definitely say that if he was going to say who's the funniest person on set, I'd probably put my hat in the ring and say it's me. But I don't know. I'm trying to think who I've worked with that's been particularly funny. I mean, it's also, if you work with comedians you'd think would be really funny, but in real life they're actually miserable. They're not funny at all.
Yeah.
I
want to know the ins and outs of everything, but I'm gonna throw it out to the floor in a second. So get your questions ready for Terry.
Yeah, well, but the other problem, what you were saying about funny, when people are working on film sets, obviously, you've all the film sets I've worked on, you've got a short amount of time to get stuff done.
Yeah.
So people aren't really mucking about on set. It's hard work. So I don't think anybody goes on the set for a good time and have a laugh. It's probably the most. And if you come and watch the film on a film set, you go, oh, it's really exciting. But when you see it, it's boring. You see the same thing over and over again, from that angle, from this angle, from that angle, and then it takes all day. And then you go, well, is that it? And it's but then when you watch the movie, it's great. But the actual coming on the film set sounds glamorous, but it's just a load of people in a room with a camera saying the same thing over and over again for like 8 hours.
So of all the movies you've done, what's your favourite? Is it the Footsoldier ones?
Do you know something? All the films I've made them, or I've been in them. So if I'm in a film as an actor, or I've produced a film as a producer, every film that I've said yes to as an actor, or every film that I've produced, I've only done it because I thought it was going to be a good film. I've never ever been in anything or made anything that I thought was going to be rubbish. But unfortunately, with our business, you can have the best script, the best actors, the best director, the best everything, and sometimes the film just doesn't turn out how it should. And I don't know why that is, but there's millions of variables. And we've had films that have been like massively successful, and then companies have gone out of business and not paid us. So again, there's also a sort of depressing side. You think, wow, that's been a massive success, and then the company goes bust, and then you don't get your money. So that's also unpleasant. But I'd say, the best gangster films that I've produced and that I've been in, I'd say Rise of the Footsoldier, obviously, the Origins one being the best one in the series, in my opinion. Once Upon a Time in London, because Netflix bought that and put it out worldwide. So that's obviously an unusual thing to happen on a film. So thanks for that, Netflix. We love you. And then I made a film. My second film, actually, was a film called Rolling with the Nines. And that was, again, a comedy sort of hood movie. Sorry, it wasn't a comedy hood movie. It was a hood movie. It was basically a British Boys in the Hood that got BAFTA nominated. So that has a real special place in my heart. But then I think films that have actually gone around the world and people love. Plastic was one of them. Another Hood was one of them. And Saving Santa, which was a Christmas movie, was the other one. So I haven't got a film that, but I'd say if I was going to pick 6, I'd say those ones.
Okay. So Carl Stark's got a question for you. Who's the best actor Terry has ever worked with?
Well, when you say best, do you mean as in acting wise, or do you mean as in like the best person that I met, like a nice guy? I mean, I take it you mean.
I suppose he means acting wise, all
the best
around.
One, the best one.
Around. Yeah.
I mean, I think Alfie Allen. I worked with him on Plastic, and obviously he went off and done Game of Thrones, then John Wick. So he's now become this massive star, and so I'd say he was, really, really talented. I liked him a lot. I'm just trying to think who else. There's been so many. I mean, I think when you look at Plastic as a film, I'm just going to get it up while I'm talking to you, because there was people in that film that have all become, big stars since that film came out. Obviously, Alfie Allen was one of them, as I mentioned. Will Poulter was in The Maze Runner, Detroit, We're the Millers. He was in that film. We had so many people in that film. When you look at the cast now, it's amazing how we got all these hot up and coming actors, and that was in 2014.
I know, I remember. So, I thought Emma Rigby was good in it as well.
Amazing. Yeah, she was great.
She
had the lead role. But I mean, we're very blessed, that we're able to make these films and get people, to back us and allow us to do what we do, and all of our investors over the years have supported what we do, and it's a big thanks to them, because without them, we wouldn't be making as many films,
Okay, we got another question. I agree. Would you get Amanda to star in one of your films? I reckon she'll be a good actress.
Yeah. I think she could be, yeah.
No, it's not my thing. Right.
Yeah.
This has been asked to me a lot on Twitter. And Terry, you said at the end of United Nation you would put on one last party. Is that still on the cards? And who would you put on the lineup if you could?
Well, do you know something? When we made that documentary, I was genuinely got the bug for it again. I was thinking, I wouldn't mind doing a party and blah blah blah. And I started looking at venues, and the politics now, it's just ridiculous. So, you talk to the DJs, and like Andy C as an example, he fills up Wembley with 10,000 people, or 20,000, however many it is, and you ring him up and say, "Do you want to play on my party?" And he's like, "Not really, mate. I'm filling up Wembley on my own." And obviously, him playing on my party cheapens his brand. So for him, if he only does one party a month or every 2 months in London, he'd do his own one. So I think the power has shifted. It used to be about the promoters, but the power has shifted now. And if you're Sigma or Andy C or DJ Fresh or any of these big names, obviously you're headlining festivals for like 30,000 people, 50,000 people. So I think it's very difficult, to put the lineup that I would want. A, it would be astronomically expensive, and B, I think you wouldn't be able to get the talent. And the thing is, my events were always talent heavy, so you had the best of the best. And if I couldn't do that, then there's no point doing it. And I think the hardest thing is finding a venue. It's
and if you put something on and it wasn't as good as your old, then it would just tarnish it, wouldn't it?
Well, look, if you look at what's around now, there's no, in the old days you could go out Thursday night to Sunday night and there'd be probably 10 things on a night. Now there's one thing on a month if you're lucky, and I think the kids now, they don't want to go out till 6 a.m. I think the whole scene's changed massively, and a few of the DJs I spoke to said the same thing. They said, when we're playing out now, there's just a load of people with mobile phones filming each other.
I know.
They're not really present. They're not really having a good time. So I think that's annoying as well. If you're a performer, when you're performing, everyone's just standing there like filming their mates and not really getting into what you're doing.
Do you know what's interesting? Obviously, in our day, we didn't have phones or anything. We just went out and had fun and had a good old night out and stuff. But nowadays, I mean, I see this at football. People are videoing penalties and stuff like. I'm watching the game. You know, I might video beforehand the crowd, or you know, a quick thing on the pitch before the game or after the game or whatever. But I just find it really strange. But okay, so if Terry could pick any film, what film would he have loved to have been in? That is from Carl Stark again. Thank you, Carl.
Wow. Well, I think the obvious ones, you know, I think everyone would like to have, if you're an actor, you'd love to have been in, you know, Sexy Beast or Nil by Mouth or, you know, Snatch or Lock, Stock in Britain. But then in America, I think Scarface, The Godfather, I think, you know, any of those iconic films, I think every actor wishes they'd been in, you know. So, yeah, I mean, look, the way I look at it, I'm only 51. I've only been doing it 19 years. I'm still a wee bairn, as they say in Scotland. So I think I'm going to just keep cracking on and doing my thing. And, you know,
why not?
And I think the good thing about what I do is I'm not overly bothered about it. So, you know, if I get a load of work from a film, great. If I don't really care. And that's, and I think a lot of actors do care. And obviously, you know, if they don't get the work, they you know, get upset and they get depressed and all the rest of it. But I think one thing I've learned about this game, you know, you can be in a film, it can be a big success, but it doesn't mean the phone's going to start ringing and you're going to be inundated with work. And I think a lot of it depends on what's happening in the world. You know, at the moment, you know, there's a massive push, you know, to make television and film more diverse. And obviously, if you're making things more diverse, you know, there's you know, less opportunities. And I think that, you know, when you're looking at films now, you know, I went to LA probably about 2.5 years ago, just before COVID sort of hit. And, you know, I had a meeting with a few managers and agents over there because I knew all these films I had coming up. And I just thought I might as well get a rep in LA, you know, just so that I've got a manager over there. I got one in the end, but a lot of the people that I saw was just like, look, you know, if you were Hispanic or you was, you know, an actor of color, you got more chance of, you know, working at it than coming here as a sort of, you know, middle-aged white bloke from England. And I was like, okay, so, you know, I think when you look at the you know, the way the world's changing, I think that obviously affects work. So, you know, when you're doing, you know, as an actor, you know, you're starting off. Obviously, there's less opportunities for some people. There's more opportunities for others. So, you know, I think in the you know, 80s and 90s, I think, you know, it was predominantly, you know, white people on TV. But obviously now they've started to mix it up, which is great. And I think the whole thing, you know, where these things go in like waves. So you have, you know, certain films are in vogue, you know, like at the moment it seems gangster films are doing really well and superhero movies are doing really well. They seem to be the two things that if you make one, yeah, and they're good, you can't really fail at. You know, the rom-coms, I feel the rom-coms have sort of died off a little bit. There was a spate where every weekend there was a new rom-com with you know, Hugh Grant or whoever, you know. So I think things come in, you know, there's different things, different films. Yeah, and you know, right now, you know, my face may or may not fit, but then next month or next year, my face could be a perfect fit, and then all of a sudden, I'll be all over the TV and I'll be all over, you know, Hollywood. So that's the crazy thing about being an actor. You know, you never know when your time's going to be. And when I did a couple of episodes of EastEnders, and I always remember Dot Cotton, and she's like 8 years old or whatever. And she had all this dialogue, and she literally come out off the set, smoked a cigarette, and she was like, "Hello, love, how are you?" And I said, "I'm really good." I said, "I'm just doing a little bit today, you know, really cool, you know, to be on EastEnders." And she went, "Oh, you'll be fine, love." And then she just starts smoking, and she's having a laugh with everyone. And she goes back on a set, and she's got all these dialogue, you know, and she's just rattling it off. And I just thought, wow, you know, this woman's special. And I remember when we had a bit of lunch, obviously we all sit around and have a chat. And I said, her name's June Brown, right? I said, June, I said, I've got a question I want to ask you. I said, when was your big break as an actor? Right? Because bear in mind, this is my first job EastEnders. So for me, this is like my big break, right? And, I just thought I'd ask her. And she said, when I was 68, right? And I went, wow. So I said, you was acting from like 18 or 19 till 68. And I said, what was it? And she said, EastEnders. So she'd been all her life doing like little adverts, little bits in a TV show, a little bit on a soap, a bit of theatre. But, she just bummed around. But she made a living. But, she didn't really make any proper dough till she got that regular spot in EastEnders and become this iconic character that I think if you ask anybody who Dot Cotton is, everyone knows. You know what I mean?
I used to watch it then. I must have seen you in it. What part did you play?
I played a part of a guy called Mick, who, it was in 2003, funny enough, literally the year I sold the business, that was my first acting job. And it was in, it was when Andy Hunter was, Cat and Alfie had sort of, split up.
Yeah.
And then Andy Hunter was going to marry Cat, and then Alfie and Ian Bill decided that they didn't want that to happen. So we were terrorising Ian Bill and
you know what? I used to watch
Shane
it then.
Mitchell.
I used to watch it then.
It's actually funny. Someone sent me a picture on Twitter the other day and said, "I can't believe he was in EastEnders," and I look about 10. It's just to see your face, and
Right. Well, we're going to swap a little bit over to something that has no interest for me, but boxing. Okay. So friend of the show, Robert, thank you, Robert, for watching and contributing. Can I have Terry's take on the boxing scene today and who he has his eye on and what weight division does he like best?
Yeah, I'd say, heavyweight. I kind of like the sort of middle and super middle. Conor Benn's a good mate of mine who's a welterweight, but I think for me, I like watching the heavyweights, and I think Tyson Fury at the moment. I mean, I've never seen anything like him. And when you saw that last fight with Wilder, when he, just like a shootout. He hit him, he went down, he got up, he hit him, he went down. I mean, it was like a bar brawl, and it could have gone either way. But he rode it out and he beat him. And I've never seen. When Fury sort of first said he was going to do that to Wilder, I just thought, I think you might box his head off, but I didn't think he'd stop him, but he stopped him. So I think, I don't know. I just think out of the heavyweights, I mean, look, Johnny Fisher's a good mate of mine. Joe Joyce is a mate of mine. I know a lot of these heavyweight boxers, and I think they're all great, but I just can't see anybody beating Fury. I really can't.
I agree. Not that I know much, but
I know you don't even know who Tyson Fury is.
I don't know who Tyson Fury is. I'm actually quite in awe of his story, of everything. And I think he really has got a great story. So I do know who he is. But, just a couple of questions before I finish. I do need to talk about football a little bit, Terry. I do.
Of course.
But, what do you prefer? Do you prefer acting or producing?
I like both. I think if I had a choice, I think the acting is what I enjoy, as in I like getting a script. I like going away, learning the lines. I like becoming a character. The producing is more about, it's like deal making. It's like, you get a script, you get a director. It's like booking a DJ lineup. You get the right actors in, you get the money, you go and make the film, and then, it comes out and you hope it's a massive success. And that's kind of the producing bit, but it's fun. Do you know what I mean? It's, you're creating something. So both things, you're creating content and you're having fun while you're doing it. But I think for me, that you can't beat the acting, especially if if you just got a little part where you just walk on and say a few lines and walk off. That to me is a complete waste of time. So I don't do that anymore. But I think if you've got a proper part, that's I think any actor will agree with that. It's the best thing in the world.
A proper part, not a walk on. We are going to do a couple bit more boxing. As much as it's not for me, I'm going to do it because of the lovely people in my chat. So, Fatality DMB, Terry, sir, what's your views on the Taylor v. Catterall fight and the controversial decision?
Yeah, I mean, it was mad. I mean, I actually got invited to that, and I was going to go, but it was because it was in Scotland. I couldn't really get a pass from the missus. You know, she probably wouldn't have been, oh, babe, I'm going up to Scotland for the weekend. She probably wouldn't have given me a pass. But I watched it, and you know, I think with these fights, it's so difficult because as a viewer, like when I saw the Joshua and Usyk fight, I was at Wembley for that, and no, it wasn't Wembley, it was at Tottenham, right? Your favourite ground, and.
Toilet bowl.
I remember being there, and I remember like everyone around me going, "Oh, Joshua's boxed his head off. Joshua's won. Obviously, unanimous decision." And I'm like, "What fight are you watching?" Do you know what I mean? Joshua's not won this fight; he's lost it, unanimous. And everyone's going, "Oh, you don't know what you're talking about." I said, "I'm telling you, there's no way that guy's lost." And then the decision was unanimous. I went home and I watched it again because I think sometimes when you watch it on TV, you get a better view. And I thought it was even more one-sided. And then when I talked to a lot of people about this Catterall Taylor fight, a lot of people felt Catterall won. And you know, again, I know Josh Taylor, and I like him a lot, but he has been talking about moving up a weight, and maybe, you know, he couldn't make the weight or whatever. But I definitely don't think Taylor won that fight. You know, I definitely think Catterall won that fight. But again, you know, we're not the judges. Do you know what I mean? If the judges say that they think who's won, and I think the problem is, you know, look, when I used to box, I boxed somebody and I bashed them up, right? And he beat me on a majority decision. And I remember saying to the trainer, you know, this is rigged, this is bullshit or whatever. But I just think it's just how it is sometimes. You know, if they're sitting there and there's, you know, you don't know how they're scoring it. You don't know if somebody's doing something that particular person likes, you know, they might be a bit more generous to him. I mean, if you look through boxing's history, there's hundreds of bad decisions where people have won, or referees have stopped fights when they shouldn't have stopped them, or they've let them go on too long. Do you know what I mean? So.
Okay, I'm going to allow one more question, you lot. I really don't like boxing, but come on, let's do one more. Robert again. Let's do Robert. Do you think Dillian Whyte could give him trouble with his style change?
Who's that? Is he talking about Fury?
I don't know. Do you think? Robert? Who are you talking about? I don't know. What weight is Dillian Whyte?
Heavyweight. He's fighting Fury next.
So it must be Fury.
So
then.
It must be talking about. Yeah. I love Dillian Whyte. I'm a big fan of him, but he hasn't got a chance in hell beating Fury. You know, I mean, Fury. You know, listen, I love them both. You know, I think White's entertaining, but you know, you saw what you know, the Russian did to you know, when you saw that fight, you know, when he fought the Povetkin, and Povetkin knocked him out, and you just think, well, Povetkin was like 41 years old. You know, he wasn't, you know, in his prime. So if he can do that to you, it might have been a lucky punch. But you know, Fury, you know, he's a different class to, you know, Povetkin. I also think he's a different class to Joshua. And I know they keep saying Joshua's going to fight him and Joshua's going to do this and Joshua. Again, I love Anthony Joshua, but unfortunately, I just think in boxing, just like, you know, other sports, people have their peak, and at the moment, Tyson's on his peak, and you know, I just can't see anybody beating him. You know, but look, if White knocks him out on the next fight, then people say, "What do you know?"
Yeah, exactly. And I know nothing about boxing, so I'm so pleased that people have felt you've answered all these questions, Terry, because I'm just nodding. I know there was a controversial decision. I remember hearing all about this, but right. So listen, Terry, I've kept you an hour. I'm just going to keep you.
It's been good talking to you, Gooner
I
girl.
know. You're surprised that you've actually enjoyed a Gooner show, haven't you? We haven't even done much Arsenal stuff yet, but have we converted you a little bit yet?
No, but I can sing you a song if you want.
No, Terry, no.
What?
Would you?
I'm not a very good singer, but red is the colour.
No, we don't sing
red is the colour. No. Is that not one of your songs? What's
no, that's songs? Blue is the colour for Chelsea. You are definitely a Chelsea fan.
I'm red is a colour. You know, why don't you just adopt that? I mean, you know,
because
you're red,
it's
you
Chelsea's
like red.
Song, and we don't sing Chelsea songs. Oh, my life.
I won't sing that. Sorry.
I'm going to have to really teach you, aren't I?
Any of your Gooner friends, I apologise.
Right. Two questions, actually, because people have asked me to ask you. Any more Footsoldier films coming out? And do you think you should do Footsoldier the musical? That's been asked.
I'd love to be. I can't sing. I mean, you probably just realised that after hearing my song. But Footsoldier the musical will be quite fun. I think the only film that I'd like to do is Footsoldier versus Zombies. That'd be quite fun.
Oh.
But I think the problem with the Footsoldier films is the first one was great. It was like Football Factory meets Goodfellas.
Yeah.
The second one was like what Carlton did next. And then the third one was like the Pat Tate story. The fourth one was kind of largely made up. It was just us. It was only Fools and Horses meet Scarface in Marbella. You know, that was the only way I can describe that film. And then the last one was like, you know, Tony Tucker story. And it's sort of like, you know, what other stories can you do? You could do a Craig Rolfe story. But the thing is, you know, I think it's had a really good run. And I think the problem is, you know, I think what you don't want is people to get sick of it.
You want to end on a high, don't you?
And I think look, for me, you know, my character's stories have been told now, so I haven't really got any reason to be in, unless it's a spoof like Footsoldier versus Zombies or a musical, right? Which would be hilarious because I can't sing, right? You know, but that's it. But I just don't think I could. You know, I don't see any value in me popping up again with a wig on, doing some more. I mean, you know, how many more stories is there? Do you know what I mean?
No, I know.
And that's the problem with it, you know. Yeah. And the thing is, I want to try some new stuff. You know,
I was going to say that.
I've enjoyed. Unfortunately, I think like that franchise is stuck in a tough place because I think if you watch Footsoldier, you want to see Tony, Pat, and Craig, and I think if you don't have the three of them, it doesn't become Footsoldier. And if you do something with just one of them, or you know, reboot it and change it, I'll give you a great analogy, right? I watched a film called Carlito's Way with Al Pacino, which was probably one of the best gangster films of all time. Yeah, up there with Scarface and all that. And I remember watching it, thinking this is great, I love it. And then I think there was a thing like 2 or 3 years later, going, "Oh, Carlito's Way 2's coming out," and I was like, "Wow, Carlito's Way 2, got to see that." And back that was like in Blockbuster days, yeah. So I think, you know, I heard about it coming out, and I was in Blockbusters renting a movie, and I was like, "Oh, there's Carlito's Way 2," and I just picked it up, and I thought, "Oh, wow!" And I remember rushing home and going, "Oh, we've got to watch this. We've got to, it's the second one," and I put it on, and it was like, there was no Al Pacino in it, there's no Sean Penn in it, and it was like, well, this ain't really Carlito's Way 2. And I just thought, I just honestly hated it. And I remember just turning it off thinking, what a waste. And I think that's the danger of making, if you do a reboot and all the, and you love all the new characters, but I think you have to call it something else. Because I think if you call it Footsoldier, I don't know, it's just, it's so difficult. It's like you do Fast and the Furious, you do, you know, 5 or 9, however many Fast and the Furiouses, and it's got Statham and The Rock and this and that. And all of a sudden, you know, they're doing it without them people. People need to go, well, where are those people, what we like? Do you know what I mean? And it's like a TV show, you know, when you turn it on and Stephen Graham's in it or Olivia Colman's in it and you go, I like her, I like him. Yeah. It makes you watch it. But if all of a sudden, you know, they just vanish and they're not in it anymore, you know, it's so difficult. So I think they are going to probably do I think they will probably do another Footsoldier film. But whether I'll be involved in it or whether I'll be in it, I don't know.
Oh, interesting.
Depends what it is. But you know, I don't know what else, you know, what else can they do, you know.
Okay, so this is going to be the last little one. Fatality DNB. Loved the United Nations film doc, Terry. The banter with you and DJ Hype was brilliant.
Yeah, no, we had a good laugh. He always used to remind me of my MCing days because I was so bad. He always used to remind me. Oh yeah, Like I go, mate, you're late. Get on the decks. And he'd be like, oh, I'm going. Please don't pick up the mic. Don't MC. Please, Terry, don't MC. I'll be like, I won't MC. And I walk up behind him with the mic and go, I'm ready. And he'd be like, no, give it to me. Yeah. So we had this like banter thing. But I grew up on hype. You know what I mean? He before he was anybody, he was just this great DJ that did this sort of cutting and scratching, this sort of hip hop style. And he was one of the first people I met when I was in the rave scene, and we become good mates and. Good friends, but he was great.
Oh, fantastic. Terry, listen, do you want to stay around for a little bit of Arsenal chat for a few minutes?
I won't know what any of it is, but yeah.
So basically, we play Leicester on Sunday, okay?
Right.
And what I normally do is a little prediction. So I'm going to go Arsenal 2, Leicester 1. I think it's going to be a tight game. What it is, Terry, we're going for top 4. You know what that means, don't you?
Yeah, it means you go in the top 4, yeah.
Right. You're going to have to come and sit with me at the Emirates one day, and I'm going to teach you. So top 4 gets us European football, of a higher league than, say, the Europa League, which is 5th and 6th. We had a really bad start to the season. As you know, I went to the Etihad with Chris, and they annihilated us. But since then, we have really picked up, and we're on this little, good run, basically. I'm trying to speak in layman's terms. So every game now, because we're not in any other competition, every game for us is a cup final, every single game. Okay. So we have Leicester on Sunday, we've got Liverpool on Wednesday, and then we've got Villa on Saturday, right? So 3 games in 6 days. I think we're going to win 2-1. What do you reckon? Come on, Terry, just say anything.
So tell me who's playing.
Arsenal, Leicester at Arsenal.
And you reckon it's going to be 2-1 to Arsenal, yeah?
Yeah, so does Fatality DMB as well.
Right. I reckon it's going to be 1-1. Let's see what happens.
And no, Terry, that doesn't work. No. No. Now, no.
I reckon Leicester's going to beat you 2-1.
Shut up.
I'm joking.
So, James Chambers, yes, Vardy is still injured. And Tracy Ingham,
I just want to put it out there. I have no clue. Clue. So it's just like going in a casino and put it on number 5. I actually don't know. So I'll just say what I think, and I'll probably be wrong anyway. But
would you ever like to come to the Emirates with me one day?
Yeah, why not?
I sit in the peasant seats. I'm not in club level or anything like Chris.
I'm not going to come then. I'm joking.
I'm in the Eastenders upper, which will mean nothing to you.
Right. Sounds good.
So it is good. It's great. Being an Arsenal
fan, the Upper East Side
in
New York is really cool. The Upper East Side of New York is really cool. So.
Right. So everyone, listen. I need you to come back in a few months' time, Terry. Would you come back on the show?
Yeah, why not? I might have some more things to talk to you about then.
Exactly. And honestly, I could talk to you all night. We've already gone way over an hour. Thank you so much.
Right, brilliant. No
so
problem.
Everyone, thank you in the chat as well. It's been brilliant. I don't know whether to say goodbye to Terry Stone, Terry Tucker, or Terry Turbo. I could call you all these names. Or Tony Tucker. I got it wrong, didn't I? Terry Stone, Tony Tucker.
Up the Gooners, as they say in.
They don't say up the Gooners. They don't. I'm going to have to teach you.
Red is the colour.
No.
So it's not up the Gooners or red is the colour.
Everyone.
What do they say then?
Oh, I can say. They don't say up the Gooners. They say up the Gunners.
What do they say? Oh, up the Gunners then.
Yeah, up the gun. Yeah, that's how you're going to sign off. You're going to go up the Gunners.
All right, brilliant. Well, thank you for having me on. Lovely
you
to see
are unbelievably welcome, Terry. So let me just say goodbye,
you,
and then we can go to goodbye. I was going to say we could go to bed together. I mean,
Bye-bye.
We could say goodbye together. Everybody in the chat room, thank you so much. Always Arsenal will be back post-game after the Villa. I'm going to have a week off next week, but I'll be back after post-game. Please subscribe to the Same Old Arsenal pod. Please press like on your way out. I want to say a massive, massive, massive thank you to Terry Stone. I've loved it. I could listen to you all night. Honestly, fantastic.
Thank you. I've enjoyed it. It's been fun.
You've been such a brilliant guest. I really, really enjoy it.
Thanks
Everyone, stay safe. Let's beat the Foxes on Sunday. Let's continue on this run. Thank you for joining me.
Yeah, kill
Always
the Foxes.
Arsenal.
Kill the Foxes.
Kill the
Death to the Foxes.
Let's beat the
Death
Foxes.
To the Foxes.
Always.